The entire Korean entertainment world woke up to a headline no one saw coming. In a stunning turn of events, YoonA, the timeless star adored for her elegance, grace, and unshakable career, officially confirmed her marriage to an actor 10 years her junior. A revelation that has left fans and industry insiders in collective disbelief. The news broke early this morning when YoonA's agency released a brief but heartfelt statement, confirming the long-rumored romance that had quietly blossomed away from the spotlight. Within minutes, social media ignited, hashtags bearing her name trended across every major platform, while fans flooded timelines with tears, shock, and pure astonishment. For years, YoonA has been the embodiment of poise and privacy, rarely allowing her personal life to slip into public view. This announcement, sudden, sincere, and utterly unexpected, struck like a thunderclap across the K-drama community. Who is the mysterious young actor who captured the heart of one of Korea's most beloved icons? How did their relationship remain hidden for so long in an industry where nothing stays secret? And what does this bold revelation mean for both their futures? As the dust settles, one thing is certain: this isn't just another celebrity love story. It's the beginning of a new chapter for YoonA, one written not on stage or screen, but in the language of real love and risk. Let's step into the story that has set hearts racing and headlines blazing, the marriage that no one expected, and everyone can't stop talking about. The world of K-drama woke up to chaos and wonder the morning YoonA's agency released a statement that began with 4 simple words: YoonA is married. For a moment, time stopped. Fans blinked at their screens, thinking it was a rumor, a mistake, a tabloid fantasy. But as confirmations began pouring in, it became real. Korea's most graceful leading lady had tied the knot. And not with a veteran co-star or a longtime friend from her generation, but with an actor 10 years younger. The news felt like a tremor, shaking the polished surface of an industry built on control and image. The statement was brief, poetic, and honest. After years of friendship and mutual respect, YoonA has decided to start a new journey with someone who has brought her laughter and warmth. We ask for your support as she begins this chapter in love and sincerity. There was no teasing of identity, no attempt to soften the shock. The message left one burning question: who is he? Within minutes, speculation lit up every corner of social media. Names of young actors flew through hashtags and threads, those who had starred beside her, those who had shared an award stage, even those who had once mentioned her name in interviews. Each fan had a theory, each headline carried the word younger. When his name finally emerged, confirmed by both agencies, Han Ji-hoon, a rising star in his mid-20s known for his breakthrough performance in a recent historical drama. The reaction was explosive. Han Ji-hoon, barely 3 years into his acting career, had often cited YoonA as his inspiration to enter the industry. Now, he was her husband. And scrolled back through old footage, discovering tiny, forgotten moments that now looked faded: an exchange of smiles at a music festival, a shy thank you during a backstage clip, an interview where he blushed when asked about his ideal type. The clues had always been there, buried beneath politeness. What stunned people most wasn't their age difference, it was how they had kept it a secret for so long. For over 2 years, they had managed to hide a relationship that survived the scrutiny of both fans and paparazzi. Close sources revealed that their romance had started quietly. After working together on a charity campaign in late 2021, they bonded naturally, said one staff member. There was no spark for the cameras. They simply enjoyed talking to each other when no one else was paying attention. It began as mentorship. YoonA, already an established actress and global ambassador, seen Han Ji-hoon's potential and guided him through early career hurdles. They met occasionally for coffee, talked about scripts, and exchanged advice about the emotional toll of fame. Somewhere between gratitude and understanding, admiration deepened into affection. But keeping it private was a battle. They met rarely, often at remote cafes or late-night film sets. They protected each other fiercely. A stylist confided, he didn't want to be known as YoonA's boyfriend. She didn't want him dragged into gossip. They promised each other that if it ever became public, it would be on their own terms. That promise was tested countless times. In 2022, a blurred photo circulated online showing 2 people who looked suspiciously like them leaving a theater together. Both agencies denied it immediately. It coincidence. At the time, fans believed it. Now, the puzzle fits too perfectly to ignore. The marriage was finally announced. It wasn't accompanied by press conferences or photo spreads. There was no wedding broadcast. A designer dress reveal. Instead, a single photograph appeared on YoonA's official account, a candid, black and white image of two hands intertwined against a bright window. Her caption read simply, "Thank you for waiting for me to live honestly." Han Ji-hoon posted the same image an hour later with the words, "For me." She was never out of reach. That one picture broke the internet. Within 3 hours, it became the most shared image in Korean social media history. Comment sections overflowed with disbelief, adoration, and tears. One fan wrote, "It feels like watching a drama. But it's real life," another said. "Age doesn't measure love, trust does." Industry insiders were equally taken aback. "This changes everything." One producer said, "YoonA was always the symbol of composure. For her to reveal her love so boldly, it tells us that the next generation of stars might live more freely." The sentiment spread fast. Maybe this was a beginning, not a scandal. Even their colleagues reacted with warmth. Fellow actress Suzy left a comment with heart emojis. Veteran singer Boa posted, "Proud of you, my friend. Live beautifully." Dozens of directors who had worked with YoonA wrote about her integrity, calling her decision the most authentic thing she's ever done. Behind the glamour, though, their story wasn't as effortless as it looked. Friends revealed that before going public, the couple had long discussions about timing. YoonA was afraid. One confidant admitted, not of judgment, but of hurting him. She knew what public pressure could do. She had seen it destroy others. Han Ji-hoon, on the other hand, reportedly insisted on honesty. He told her, "I want to walk beside you, not behind you." It was when she decided to trust the world. Their small wedding took place privately at a Hanek villa on the outskirts of Seoul. Only 40 guests attended, family, close friends, and a few longtime staff. There were no drones, no leaked photos. Just a soft glow of candles and a piano playing in the background. Guests described it as simple, pure. A scene from a poem. YoonA wore an understated cream dress, and Han Ji-hoon, in a navy suit, couldn't stop smiling. When the ceremony ended, they didn't rush off for a honeymoon abroad. Instead, they stayed in Seoul, visiting both families and quietly preparing for the lives ahead. They didn't want spectacle, said a guest. They wanted sincerity. The aftermath was a storm of emotion. News outlets dissected every detail, but fans began defending their choice fiercely. They flooded comment sections with words like respect, happiness, and blessing. The love that fans once guarded now turned into protection. People began to see them not as celebrity and newcomer, but as two people who had dared to be human in front of the world. In the months that followed, YoonA returned to work. She filmed a new series, a romantic drama that mirrored her own journey, and viewers noted how radiant she seemed. "Her smile has changed," one critic wrote. "Softer, freer. Like she finally exhaled after years of holding her breath." Han Ji-hoon continued acting as well. His interviews became more reflective. "I'm learning how to balance dreams and gratitude," he said in one magazine feature. When asked about YoonA, he smiled shyly. "She taught me that success isn't about who shines brighter, but who shines together." A relationship, once hidden, became a symbol of courage and modern love. For young actors, it offered hope that love didn't have to be sacrificed for fame. For longtime fans, it reminded them that their idol was still human, still capable of risking everything for happiness. Entertainment industry, once rigid in its expectations, began to shift slightly. Where celebrities started speaking more openly about their partners. Management agencies, taking notes from YoonA's graceful honesty, began rethinking the culture of silence around dating. In quiet ways, her decision changed how love was allowed to exist under the spotlight. But beyond the cultural shock and the headlines, what lingered most was the tenderness of their story, the way it unfolded with restraint and authenticity. There's no scandal, no betrayal, no fabricated drama. Two people who fell in love quietly and decided, morning, to tell the truth. Weeks later, YoonA was asked during a press event how she felt about the world knowing her secret. Her answer was simple and steady: "I think honesty is the beginning of peace. And I wanted peace more than perfection." Ji-hoon echoed that sentiment on his social platform. "We didn't mean to surprise everyone. We just wanted to live truthfully." His post ended with one line that melted hearts worldwide: "She's the love story I don't have to act in." Their photos together, still rare, showed no luxury, no display of power, just laughter and the ordinary moments they once had to hide. Fans, once shocked, now found comfort in seeing YoonA walk freely beside someone who adored her. And perhaps that's what this story truly was about: freedom. The freedom to love, to reveal, to live unfiltered after years of being curated for perfection. YoonA's marriage was never just about romance, it was a quiet rebellion against fear. A reminder that authenticity still has a place in fame. And what remains isn't the shock, but the serenity. Their story will be remembered not as a scandal, but as a turning point, a moment when love, truth, intertwined under the bright lights of the K-drama world. Because for all the noise and disbelief that followed her revelation, the truth was simple: YoonA, once the nation's symbol of poise and privacy, chose to write her own ending. And in doing so, gave everyone watching permission to believe that love, its most unexpected form, can still be beautiful. As the weeks rolled on after the shocking announcement, ripples from YoonA's revelation continued to spread far beyond the entertainment world. What had begun as a moment of disbelief was quickly evolving into one of the most heartfelt stories of courage, sincerity, transformation the industry had seen in years. YoonA and Han Ji-hoon had done what few in their position dared to do: they had chosen truth over secrecy, and love over image. For some, it is unthinkable, a top-tier actress with an unmatched career, marrying someone 10 years younger and still at the dawn of his fame. But for others, it was a breath of fresh air, a reminder that even under the brightest spotlight, humanity could still shine through. At first, both remained quiet after the news broke. There were no press conferences, no staged interviews, no photoshoots capitalizing on the hype. YoonA disappeared from social media for 2 weeks, while Han Ji-hoon continued filming quietly on location in Busan. Yet, despite their absence, her story grew louder. The public wasn't talking about scandal, they were talking about love, maturity, and the changing face of celebrity life in Korea. A journalist wrote in a major editorial, "What YoonA did was revolutionary not because she married younger, but because she trusted her audience to see her as human." Sentiment resonated deeply. For decades, female stars in Korean entertainment had carried the impossible burden of perfection, expected to be admired, but never too real, adored but untouchable. As marriage shattered that mold, insiders began revealing details of how she prepared for the announcement. Months before it went public, she had reportedly spoken to her management team and made one request: "I don't want to hide anymore. I want to live with dignity, not fear." That simple conviction that drove her decision. Those close to the couple say they had considered going public earlier, but hesitated. They wanted to be sure their relationship was strong enough to survive what was coming. Han Ji-hoon's family, initially surprised by the relationship, gave their blessing after meeting her in person. He was so proud. Not because she was famous, but because she was kind. One relative shared, YoonA's own parents were said to be emotional when she told them. Her mother reportedly said, "You've made everyone else smile for years. It's time someone makes you smile back." When she finally stepped back into public view, it was at a charity event she had agreed to months before. Cameras clicked furiously. YoonA remained poised, wearing a soft beige dress, her smile gentle but firm. When a reporter asked how she was feeling, she replied, "I think I'm learning how to be happy again. Time without pretending." The crowd applauded. Han Ji-hoon appeared days later at a press junket for his new drama. The reporters, unable to resist the inevitable, he hesitated for a moment before answering with a small grin, "It still feels surreal." Is a story. "I'm glad mine began with her." The sincerity in his tone silenced the room. It wasn't the response of a rising actor chasing attention, it was the answer of a man in love. Slowly, skepticism began to fade. The public, especially YoonA's longtime fans, shifted from shock to admiration. They saw the honesty behind her decision and respected the courage it took to face a society that still frowned upon women loving younger men. Comments under her posts transformed from confusion to affection. "She's writing her own ending," one user wrote. "And it's beautiful." Months passed, and the frenzy began to settle into normalcy. People was spotted occasionally, sometimes holding hands, sometimes shopping quietly, They didn't hide. But they didn't flaunt either. Their lives became almost ordinary, a rarity for celebrities of their magnitude. In one candid interview, a close friend revealed that YoonA had no plans to slow down her career. Marriage didn't change her ambition. Said, if anything, it gave her new strength. She said she feels grounded for the first time in years. Han Ji-hoon, too, was growing in his career. His acting began to draw critical praise, and producers noted his emotional depth. He's matured. One director said, it's as if love gave him gravity. Still, they weren't immune to challenges. Online gossip persisted, with some critics calling their age difference unconventional. But YoonA's response was pure class. A talk show appearance. When asked about the criticism, she simply smiled and said, "Were something we could schedule by age. No one would ever be late for it." The audience erupted in applause. Words became iconic overnight, quoted by fans, printed on posters, and even used in advertisements. It was that mix of elegance and wit that had always defined her. As time went on, YoonA's marriage became more than a headline, it became a symbol. Young women in Korea began citing her as an inspiration. Just for her career, but for her unapologetic honesty. She showed us that we don't have to fit into anyone's timeline, one fan tweeted. In an essay published in a leading magazine, YoonA reflected on the journey. I used to think love had to be hidden to survive. But love is not fragile, fear is. Now let go of fear. I finally understood what it meant to live truthfully. That line spread like wildfire in newspapers and reposted by fans across the world. The couple's life, though quieter now, and intertwined with meaning. They launched a foundation together supporting young actors from underprivileged backgrounds. They donated anonymously to children's hospitals and continued attending charity events side by side. When asked why they did it, Han Ji-hoon said, "Because we started with gratitude. And we want to live that way." Years later, when asked how she would describe her life now, YoonA answered, "It's peaceful. That's the word. No longer wake up afraid of what people might say. Wake up thankful for what is real." And that, in the end, became the heart of their story. What began as a shock had turned into one of the most celebrated love stories in Korean entertainment. It wasn't the kind that relied on spectacle, but the kind that survived honesty. In a world obsessed with appearances. And Han Ji-hoon reminded everyone that love's truest power lies not in perfection, but in courage. Their story will forever stand as proof that even under blinding lights, it's possible to live authentically, and that sometimes, the most beautiful beginnings come from the bravest truths.